Alrighty, yo. So obviously, I've come to a conclusion about Trina. I mean, it wasn't gonna take that long for me to come to a conclusion about this character because, Trina is a character that is really like a good character. I would say, if you ask me, is Trina a great character? Yeah, I'd say she's good. But the problem is she's only good with one character. So I feel like if what Trina did work for everybody in the game, then she would be a contender for like one of the better burst 2s in the game, in my personal opinion. I don't actually own her, but I am going to get her. I don't own a few characters now: Mast and Anchor, and then obviously Quincy and Ant still. Don't worry about Quincy. I know. I already know y'all gonna say. But when it comes to Trina, she's really, really good just for Scarlet, which is unfortunate. But I think what they're going to do is exactly what they kind of did with Cinderella, where they dropped the Rouge in advance, and then when Cinderella came out, Rouge was the best friend for Cinderella. I feel like that's exactly what they're going to do with Little Mermaid, which is the half anniversary character, confirmed, I guess, because Nikke has already leaked it or whatever. Now the only thing is, every single half anniversary we've had have been supporters, and then obviously the main anniversary character and New Year's always are DPSs, right? So for New Year's we have Modernia, Scarlet, and Rappy, which were all DPSs, and then for anniversaries we had Red Hood and Cinderella, which were both DPSs, right? But the only time we get supporter pilgrims, even Grave, which was the anniversary character, was a DPS, a sub DPS or whatever. But when we have these, half anniversaries, we have a broken supporter. First we had Dorothy, which is technically a DPS, but her whole thing was she was a supporter, basically just helping your team get more damage out. And then Crown, right? So I'm expecting Little Mermaid to also be another type of supporter for the team. It's just hard because Trina is a character who's clearly meant to buff up a DPS. So if they do make Little Mermaid a DPS and electric and AR at that, then Trina is going to be like any electric AR DPS that comes into the game will already be broken because of just Trina's buff, right? I'm sorry, it's a bit crazy. A 94% attack damage buff, a reload speed buff when you enter a burst skill using her burst skill, whatever, and then an additional 20% attack damage buff with like increase to your actual if you have AoE increase to those numbers. It's just, she's a crazy good character. Her heals and stuff like that, very, very good character. It's just, again, her only working for Scarlet is what puts her down in rankings, right? I don't really she doesn't only work for Scarlet. Don't get me wrong. Let's not say she only works for Scarlet, because she doesn't, right? Obviously, the attack damage buff she gives, 20.9% for 10 seconds. That's the exact same attack damage buff that Crown gives, I believe, right? At level 10, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure Crown gives the exact amount, right? No, 30. So I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this right here, a recovery. But Crown gives a 36%. But yeah, other than that, I think Trina could have been a very good burst 2 overall if she again wasn't just locked to AR electrics, right? Even if she was just locked behind electrics, I would have been happy with that. But because it's just AR electrics, it's just unfortunate because, again, the only character in the game that's an AR electric is Scarlet, DPS wise. Other than that, her heals are fantastic. I feel like her heals are great. I would prefer if her heals were more more consistent. She's really only healing the entire team after a full burst, which is cool, but it's not ideal for me. And then obviously she is giving a max HP buff to all electrical allies with a rifle, but again, that's just one character, which is Scarlet. She is giving invulnerability to that same ally, so that's again Scarlet. And then she's giving an attack damage. That's all just Scarlet. The entire skill 2 belongs to Scarlet characters, right? It just belongs to Scarlet. That entire second skill is Scarlet. And those are where the biggest buffs come. An attack damage buff, reload speed buff, max HP buff, and then invulnerability for 2 seconds. That's all just goes to Scarlet. And then the first skill is okay, it's great. When attacking with a full charge, affects target if the HP of allies, of like 2 allies with the lowest percentages lower than 50%, 30%. Like, this is not the best, because basically her first skill is not going to work unless an ally on your team, 2 of them at that, have lower than 50% HP. So her first skill doesn't work until later on in the match, and then her second skill works for only Scarlet. The only thing that's consistent is her first, or her burst skill, which is she's giving a max HP buff to all allies and then attack damage buff to all allies, right? And then obviously for any allies who have this affects all enemies in their burst skill, she buffs up them as well, right? And then the last part of the burst skill, again, for just Scarlet. So it's like her kit, it's exactly what they did for Trina, or not Trina, for Flora, where her kit is actually good, but it's so limited, right? It's so limited. This is probably the most limited character in the game, just because it's like, wow, such crazy buffs. Only, even if it was to one ally, sure, but it was like any character who's on the most left side, Trina would have been crazy, in my opinion, because then you would have just had your main DPS in the most left side, right? If what Trina did went to any character, even if it was one ally, she would have been so good. But no, she's only buffing up Scarlet, which I think players are happy about, because Scarlet, don't get me wrong, OG Scarlet isn't like bad, but she obviously definitely fell off. She was still relevant in PvP, and then other than that, you weren't really using her much. Like, generally, there was just way too many DPSs that just outshined Scarlet with favorite item DPSs, and then other DPSs. This Scarlet got outshined. Now with Trina in the game, this Scarlet is back on top, like one of the strongest characters in the game if you're putting her up with Trina, right? So it's just like, and everybody already had this Scarlet built up, because again, Scarlet came out at the beginning of the game. Scarlet's not like a newer character. This is a character that everybody chased down, everybody rerolled for, everybody built up for a long time, because this character, again, was a top 1 character for like, I think a year and a half. The only time she got replaced was like when Red Hood dropped, for real, right? Red Hood was like when she dropped. When Red Hood dropped, then the Scarlet started going down and down and down, because by that point we didn't have Scarlet Black Shadow, we didn't have Ayn. I think we had Summer Anise, but we didn't have a lot of these other characters who were just out damaging this character. You know what I mean? So Trina is definitely helping her out, but Trina is just not the best because she only works for Scarlet. If you wanted my opinion, like, I would tell you, Trina, all they had to do was make Trina a character that did what she does, but for every character in the game, right? For every character in the game, rather than just for Scarlet. And I know it's not only for Scarlet, because like I said, any character in the game that is an electric character, AR, will guaranteed have these buffs. But as of right now, Moran, Scarlet, like, what is this? Only one of them are bursting. Maybe the R character, Soldier, EG, sure, but you're not using, like, this is silly. Keep it a buck. This is silly, right? So I'm a bit disappointed in that aspect, that it only works for my arch nemesis, which is Scarlet, to be honest. But other than that, it's like, she's a great character in my opinion. I'm still definitely gonna get her, and then when I do get Trina, then you guys will see me actually put effort into my Scarlet. Like, I'll 10 her overload gear and stuff like that, because that's good for another composition and stuff like that. Other than that, I don't feel like Trina's worth it. I don't feel like she's worth it now, but at the same time, I don't know what characters are coming out. I don't know what characters are going to be electric ARs. I don't know. For all we know, the next best character can be an electric AR character. We won't know. And if that does happen, Trina is going to be a must-have for them, because she's just way too good for anybody who is an electric AR. What this character does for them is just too crazy. As of right now, it's just Scarlet though. So you guys, but it's not even that. It's just like, her whole kit is also designed around Scarlet's kit. It's not like, oh, electric characters with an AR are just broken. It's like they kind of made her entire kit for specifically for Scarlet, like to go work well with Scarlet's kit. So I don't know if she's going to be that useful for other characters in the future, but we'll see. You guys let me know what you think. Let me know if you guys agree with me, if you think Trina's all that good or whatever. But for now, it's your boy Zxous. I'm out. Later. Peace.